What is Western political thought? Western political thought is composed of ideas of our government and how it works. The ideas of Western political thought come from Greece and of its thinkers. Greeks' famous thinkers that came up with ideas of Western political thought are Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Western political thought can result in death, though, as Socrates was poisoned for even questioning how should we be governed. Western political thought is used in countries like America or other countries using a democratic system.
Well, how do you know that?
Some of you may be asking, well, the ideas of Western political thought revolve around government, justice system, laws, and people who are in charge, otherwise known as the government. Countries that are having revolutions or are rebelling against their rulers are also having Western political thought because they are probably like, why should we be listening to these people? We should not be treated like this. We have to fight for our rights. But just thinking about government or our rulers does not make it Western political thought. But mainly Western political thought is questioning those things like how should we be ruled? How should civilians pay back their government for what the government does for them? Or how should rulers take action in certain times of distress for their citizens? Even fallen nations like Rome had used Western political thought. We see this in their justice system, as their quote was innocent until proven guilty. I consider that Western political thought because they were questioning how should we take action if someone is convicted of a crime. Should we treat them as innocent and then guilty, or should we treat them as guilty and then innocent? The ideas of Western political thought are not limited to certain races or ethnicity, but usually depending on what part of the world you live on, different kinds of political thought will be more common. Even ancient nations like Israel had Western political thought, or thought similar to that, since they were asking God for a king so they could be like other nations. Basically, they were questioning how God was ruling them, and they wanted a different way of ruling, basically the way of having a king, a human ruler instead of a divine spiritual ruler. They also had a way of punishment and a justice system that was assigned by God. Rome had used a justice system pertaining to criminals and how they should be executed. Depending on how bad the criminal was, they would have a worse punishment of death. If they were a terrible criminal who committed very terrible crimes, they would be hung up on a cross and crucified. If they weren't as bad of a criminal, then they would have a death that was quicker and not as painful. Even today, we are questioning our government and how they are in charge, and what authority do they have to do certain things. We are still going over what forms of execution we should be using for criminals, or even if we should execute them at all, or should we just keep them in jail for a long time. Western political thought can be deadly in a way. It can lead to revolution, like questioning why are we still in Britain's hands. That started the American Revolution and caused us to revolt against Britain and claim our independence. Also in the French Revolution, the French rebelled against all the richer French people because they were questioning why should we be treated like this? Shouldn't we all be equal and have all equal food, and them have to not get more food than us just because we were born a lower class? The ideas of Western political thought are probably more common today because, well, the flame has already started. Because back in the time of Socrates, he had to start that spark of thought because, well, there were less people, which means that there were less ideas, which means that not that many people had similar ideas. So there had to be thinkers like him to start that, and there weren't as many thinkers like him. But today, we already have that spark that has started up, and now it's a big flame, so now lots of people have Western political thought and are able to think like that. Now, even though Western political thought can cause revolution, I think it is necessary for us to do that, because we need to tell our government if something is wrong, and I think that other nations need to tell their government the same, because they need to have the best life that they can and have a fair system where they live in peace.